Please don't murder me, but in this video I do pronounce Zhang as Zhang. I'm sorry. Enjoy the video anyway, because I do think it's a good video regardless. And while you're sitting there, please like the video and subscribe as it really does help me out. The Queenberry vs Matchroom card is on this weekend, and it's one that I've been looking forward to for a long time. Unfortunately, the Bivol vs w.a.d.e main event fell through, but we still have 5 of Matchroom's top fighters boxing against the very best of the Queenberry stable. This card features names like Hrgovic, Dubois, Nick Bull, Austin Ammo Williams, and of course you have the big heavyweight clash between Deontay w.a.d.e and Zhilei Zhang. Both fighters have the ability to close the show with violent knockouts, and both have a point to prove after losing against Joseph Parker in their last fights. w.a.d.e has even more pressure on his shoulders because he was appointed as the team captain of a Matchroom stable for this event. Eddie Hearn is really counting on him to win against Zhang. That's way easier said than done because Zhang is a fantastic fighter, and although he hasn't looked the best in his last couple of fights, he still packs a lot of power. His 2 victories over Joe Joyce prove that. To give you an idea of what Zhang's style is like, let me walk you through his fight against Philip Hrgovic. Zhang likes to walk people down and isn't worried about getting hit occasionally to then punish the opposition. He comes forward, blocks some of what his opponent is throwing at him, and then lands accurate power shots that usually take them out. During this fight, Hrgovic was throwing more punches and generally staying more active, scoring points along the way. However, when Zhang did come out and attack, he usually connected, and at many points in the fight, he caught Hrgovic with some big clean left hands. Even in the latter rounds when Hrgovic was circling the ring, peppering Zhang with jabs to the body and head, Zhang wasn't deterred and was still maintaining ring generalship. Zhang is composed, and even when the fight isn't going his way, he remains professional and picks his moments to strike. A ton of Hrgovic's shots, early on at least, were landing on the gloves, and Zhang remained calm with his high guard. Zhang does open up, however, as the fight goes on and becomes more and more hittable, which will favor w.a.d.e 100%. Zhang only really attacks when he sees an opening, and in between his strikes, he still remains in range. His lack of volume and him always being in the firing line might be an issue when he faces w.a.d.e, if w.a.d.e comes out aggressive. That's a big if, and we'll talk about that later. We also know that if Zhang tries to walk w.a.d.e down, w.a.d.e has shown that he can knock people out unconscious, moving backwards. See the Hellenius fight to understand what I mean. Anyway, when Hrgovic landed on Zhang, it didn't look nearly as devastating as when Zhang connected with his own shots. He did slow down in the later rounds, and Hrgovic was just outworking him in the back end of the fight. Zhang has a tendency of getting tired and sloppy as the fight goes on, and we'll see if w.a.d.e can use this to his advantage. In fact, the same tendencies that Zhang had in the Hrgovic fight carried over directly into his fight with Joseph Parker, an opponent that both w.a.d.e and Zhang has tasted defeat against. Zhang was a rather stationary target, while Parker was just more alert, bouncing up and down, using footwork. Now Zhang did let his hands go every now and then, landed heavy power shots, and even dropped Parker with a left hand in rounds 3 and 8, but Parker simply threw more combinations and won the back half of the fight mostly. Exactly the same result as the Hrgovic fight. Zhang kinda let the Joseph Parker fight slip away from him, but on the other hand, w.a.d.e had an absolutely awful performance against Parker. I'm glad that Zhang and w.a.d.e both fought the same opponent basically back to back from each other, so we have a decent point of reference going into this week's card. w.a.d.e was super negative in the fight with Parker. He was on the back foot the entire fight and not throwing much at all. You can blame ring rust, or the fact that he probably didn't want to get knocked out like he did in the 3rd Fury fight. Meanwhile, Parker had a very measured performance. He picked his shots well, used the whole ring to his advantage, and had slick footwork to back w.a.d.e up. Parker was either out of range completely or right up close because he was aware of Deontay's power. He made Wilder miss a lot, and it was a good display from Parker. With Wilder, I just didn't understand his game plan in the slightest. He was never a slick technical boxer, so why was he trying to outbox Joseph Parker of all fighters? Don't fix what isn't broken. He's a brawler with a devastating right hand. It's the same kind of criticism that Anthony Joshua got when he fought Usyk. Wilder and AJ both should have been using their size and sheer power to dominate their opponents, in which Parker and Usyk are both agile and smaller than other heavyweights. Even though Wilder came up short against Fury, that doesn't mean that Wilder can't stick it on and rough up other technicians in the ring. He just didn't perform on the night with Parker. Wilder vs Zhang has the potential at least to be a blockbuster fight. They both have a huge amount of power in their hands, and they know how to put it on guys when they hurt them. Keyword, when they hurt their opponents. Zhang and Wilder are two of the biggest punchers in the heavyweight division, that's for sure. But for this fight to be super entertaining, Wilder needs to come with that spite and ferocity like we saw earlier in his career. This is really a make or break fight for Deontay Wilder. Now ironically, I don't think he should be absolutely written off if he gets stopped by Zhang. The latter is an excellent puncher after all and has the ability to finish anyone, so it's not necessarily game over if Wilder just gets caught or something. The reason why I'm saying it's Wilder's last chance is down to his mindset alone. If he can't get his head in the game and can't pull the trigger against Zhang, then it's more or less over for Deontay Wilder at a championship level. The truth is, he's not going to outbox the likes of a Filip Hrgovic or a Daniel Dubois or a Zhang. He needs to knock them out, and if he can't flick the switch and throw bombs against Zhang, then it's over in my opinion. I'm so interested to see if he can let his hands go against Zhang and stop him. Zhang will walk Wilder down without a care in the world, looking to land accurate power punches. But will Wilder be able to use that to his advantage and catch him with something big of his own? This could be like the unstoppable force versus the immovable object, depending on if Wilder will be on the offensive. Zhang is a durable fighter and he doesn't like taking a backward step with that high guard. I feel like if Wilder wants to win this fight, he needs to be aggressive, that's obvious. Throw shots that'll break Zhang's defenses and hurt him early on. Zhang has shown to be pretty hittable and I wonder if Wilder can use that. For Zhang to win, he needs to stay switched on, especially if Wilder's mindset has improved and if he comes out swinging. Zhang's body shots are nice, crisp, and set up the left hook very well. He can use that to slow Wilder's movement down at least, but that's one thing about Wilder. His power never really leaves him when he gets tired. Wilder might be less energetic and will resort to slugging it out with Zhang in the later rounds, but he's still a dangerous fighter because his power carries throughout the entire fight. My fight prediction is that Zhang will win against Deontay Wilder. Fuck it, let's go by decision as well. I know that's going to be proven wrong, but fucking hell, I might put $10 on it, who knows. I'm just suspicious of Wilder's punch output after his last fight, but if it goes past 6 rounds, I just wonder if Zhang can knock him out due to his poor conditioning at times. Wilder is one tough guy as well, we saw that when he fought Fury. Oh, and don't get me wrong here, Zhang has the ability to knock Wilder out and will follow Wilder up and down the ring. However, Zhang might not be able to capitalize much on that if Wilder is boxing negatively and on the outside like he did against Parker. Then Zhang could potentially gas in the later rounds and not have the same punching power as before. If Wilder's tactics haven't changed and he doesn't land any real bombs on Zhang, I feel like Zhang will land the better shots in moments of a fight and the two will make it to a decision or Zhang will get a late finish. I picked Zhang to win just because he's been more consistent than Wilder recently. That last fight from the latter really rang the alarm bells in my head. I hope I'm wrong and Wilder turns up on the nights, but we'll see. The way that this fight plays out really depends on Deontay Wilder. If he does put it on Zhang and becomes the bronze bomber once again, then yes, he's probably got this in the bag. The best thing about this fight is that it's 50-50 and just like Fury and Usyk, it's really hard to tell who's going to win until they get inside that ring. I love that we're finally seeing these heavyweight fights come to fruition and how Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren have finally come to the party, with that Saudi money right there in the middle of them, but still, more collaborations like this need to happen in boxing and I think this is just the beginning.